Well, welcome back, cinema fans. This is Cinema Spree, and we got DC Rewatch. And what we're going to be rewatching and reviewing today is Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. So this movie serves as the DC rebooted New 52. Technically, this takes place in the old universe, and really there is no tie-in to the whole New 52 DC animated universe, even though the end credit scene sets up that universe. But everything before this kind of doesn't really have no connection to the rest of the universe, but it does set the scale for the animation, the storytelling, the action, and how far they're willing to go, how they're taking very popular DC comic book runs and crossovers and kind of doing their own little twist with it. You'll see it later in like Batman and Robin, or Batman versus Robin, Batman Hush, and a couple others like Justice League War, Justice League Dark, and so on and so forth. Now you may ask, why did I choose this film for the first DC rewatch? Well, here's the thing. I really do enjoy this film. The first two acts are pretty kind of, a typical DC animated movie you would get out of DC, Warner Brothers. But here's the thing. The third act is what really counts. Now, I understand some of the action can be very cut-paced, kind of fast-paced. It wasn't very interesting, nothing special. But what really kind of hooked me into this film was the whole back and forth between Reverse Flash and Barry Allen Flash, and that whole scene when basically Reverse Flash is just kicking Barry Allen's ass, and Flash is seeing everything just falling apart around him realizing, and kind of they did it really cool. Just it's animated, not really live action, but you can somewhat see in his face him realizing that all this was because of his selfish decision to save his mother. The whole point and reason why we're in the Flashpoint is because he saved his mother from being murdered, which is the typical Flashpoint story. But something about that is so moving. And what really got me at this movie, and it was really at the end of the film, but made me look back at the film, is before the Flash runs off to basically stopping himself from saving his mother, Thomas Wayne gives Flash a letter to give to Bruce Wayne in his universe, Flash's universe. And at the end of the film, when he gives him the note, and Batman, first time ever you see in an animated Batman film, him tearing up, and the whole scene was just very moving. I'm running out of time, got a lot to say, so stick around for part 2. So just like I was saying in part 1, is that at the end of the film where you got Flash giving the note from Thomas Wayne to Bruce Wayne and him reading it wasn't really the tears that really got me, is when they just show the camera just panning back, and Bruce is reading that letter, and you can see him rubbing his eyes from tearing, and something about that was just very beautiful for the Batman's character, Bruce's character, and just the history and everything behind that. And knowing that this is the same universe, I think, from the Batman animated TV show, for something like that, it felt like somewhat of a nice tie up, kind of like a good, kind of like, I don't know, conclusion to that universe as we enter into the new DC animated universe. Well, not new anymore, but we'll get to that film later down the line. But something about that, and this film, look, the first two acts, I mean, a lot of choppiness, a lot of leaving you to have to put the pieces together. It's definitely a film you might want to revisit more than once, just to maybe get some of the callbacks, or maybe some of the plot holes, not plot holes, but some of the story beats that they kind of miss, or storytelling they kind of like skip over or not even touch base on to really improve the story. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, it's truly what it is. It's the Flash and somewhat of a side character Batman film. And I get it, this film has a lot of characters and a lot of stories going on. I think that was the problem. It had a lot of story, the whole Aquaman and Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman killing Aquaman's wife, and and how that, just doing it by just some sort of memory of the Flash from that universe, the Flashpoint universe, and that it was a lot of like fast-paced or rushed storytelling, but it still kind of somewhat worked. It felt like this was like Iron Man 2, but in a DC Flash animated film. Now I hope for the new Flashpoint movie or the Flash movie that's supposed to come out next year, I hope they don't do the same thing like this, or somewhat like this, because I feel like this wouldn't really do well for a live action. It works well for an animated DC film, but there's a lot of great DC animated films, but this one, it would work for this, but for a live action DC or any film, I don't think it would have worked. So it was perfect for what it was, though. Stick around for part 3, the final part. Now, I will say, when it comes to the score of this film, I've always said for every film and TV show, and really anything cinema, if the score is not there, when I say score, I'm talking about the music, the soundtrack of the film or show. If it's not there, or it doesn't fit well for the art that's on the screen, then there's been a lot of films where the music was very sour, a score is supposed to empower a film, no matter if it's animated, live action, TV series, animated or live action. The score is supposed to kind of elevate that to a whole nother level. Like, can you imagine the Batman animated series without Danny Elfman's score? It would kind of stale. The whole show would be still, right? For instance, since we're talking about Batman, imagine the Dark Knight, Hans Zimmer, the score wasn't in there. And the score wasn't good at all for the whole trilogy. Or even the Batman film, if the score wasn't good for that either. Or Spider-Man, Danny Elfman. Like, literally, if the Star Wars films, like the 13s, were not good as the films, it would be the whole trilogy, the whole Star Wars films itself would not live up to the hype or live up to the standard that it is today. So for this film, the score is very low for me, as in like score rating wise. But for the most part, it's one of those films. It's one of those DC films that it's just there, animated films that you just throw onto the TV or your phone and just watch because either you're bored or just to pass the time. But there's some hidden gems in this film. That's the main reason why I wanted to bring this up. And it is also introducing the whole new DC animated 52 universe, if you will. But because it takes a lot of 52 inspiration from the comics into the universe. But anyway, overall, this is just a nice, enjoyable film. Nothing crazy about it, but I figured it'd be a great film to kind of bring to light that I don't feel like no one talks about that much, because there is some hidden gems in this. And yeah, so. But here's my rating for this film. I definitely would give it a solid 6.8 out of 10. It's a good film just to chill or just throw on in the background or something, but it's nothing to write home about, but there are hidden gems in this film. Thank you for watching, cinema fans, and please follow and like for more content like this. Again, thank you, cinema fans. This is Cinema Spree. Peace, love, and positivity. I'm out of here.